Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, Mr. Alwin. We have you today. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate for your time. Sorry, I start from the beginning. So we have so many questions. I think it's 20 some minutes for you. How do you feel though in Greece? To be in Greece for Mammoth Fest at October 12th in Thessaloniki.
It's of course, every time when we play in Greece with ASPHYX, we have a marvelous time, outside, besides the music, we all love the Greece food, so it's...
Yes.
And of course, when we go, it's next month already, so the weather will be nice. It's already getting colder here in the Netherlands, so
yeah,
we absolutely look forward. And if I look at, we have played in Greece a couple of times, and we always had a good time. We have some really dedicated fans over there, so it's we are really psyched to be back in Greece. And I don't know how. I don't know the Mammoth Fest. Never been there.
Yes, it's a new festival. Yes.
Yeah, but all the clip shows we did in Greece, we had just a fabulous time. It's we love Greece, and we hope Greece loves us.
Thank you so much. And here today in Athens we have some cold, 28 degrees. For us, it's we're starting to wear something here. What do you remember the last time you play in Greece and Athens and Kitaro, and what's your remembrance?
It was last year, right? And
2022, I think, yes.
It's already 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Time flies when we have fun. No, I do remember, the club, and it was nice crowded. I remember there was a lot of rain in the evening. It was it was warm, but still raining. It was bad weather, but yeah, we had a good time there and a good show. And for us, it was the first time we could promote the newest album in Greece, of course.
Necrosaurus, yes.
We released that in 2000, and yeah, this was actually a bit after the COVID period that we were able to visit Greece again, as well as other countries, of course. And I remember we had a good time there. We had some drinks. We had a good show. We were headlining that evening, so we always have a bit of playing time then. So we also could play some new songs, but also you still can play the old stuff, because there are always the fans from the 90s who wants to hear the Rag and Vermin, the Last One on Earth, and that kind of stuff. So, but it was an amazing evening, absolutely.
As you say about the last album, Necrosaurus, do you take any feedback after that years?
You mean on new material?
Yes. No. Necrosaurus is for me it's a great album.
Thank you.
Do you take any other feedback for this in 4 years after?
No, to be honest, still everywhere we play, we are surprised about how popular the album got. Because I remember when we wrote it, for us the challenge was, of course, because we had before that we had Incoming Dead and of course Death Hammer, and I think they are two decent albums, and for a band it's always, you always look back and you think, okay, it has to be better than the previous one, at least equal. And it gives a kind of pressure, but still we just do what feels right, and that way Necrosaurus was born, and then of course you release it, and okay, then you are excited. Okay, now the review's coming, and
for sure.
But it really went beyond our imagination. Even I think in Germany we entered the charts at the third place, and the final charts at first place. And even in a lot of other countries, the album came in on such high positions that we were Kind of shocked. Of course, very proud, but also it was really unexpected. And still now, after 4 years, we still hear amazing compliments. And I also notice when we play live.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of old bands playing live, and then the people just want to hear the old stuff, But when we play with ASPHYX and we play songs from the Crossroads, people are going just as crazy as on the old stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and
of course, it's a great album. Yes, of course. I see.
so I think we did good there.
Yeah. When do we expect the new materials from ASPHYX?
Well,
Do you have plans?
Yeah, we always have plans a lot, but
Yeah, of
to
course.
be honest, we just start working on new materials. So of course, an album is not born in a half year, So, but it's, somehow I think it has to do with the COVID period, maybe. But because when we released the album, the first time we could promote it was in somewhere 2022. So for us, it doesn't feel like 4 years ago, but for us, it feels like, okay, when we started promoting the album, that's where it came out. But of course, it's 2 years before, because we just released it a year when COVID started. It came out. So, but as we speak, we are writing new material, but yeah, it goes slow, but we take our time.
Okay, of course.
But I do hope, I think, to write music and to really release a record, that's almost work for a year, So it won't be this year or early next year, but maybe later next year or then in 2025.
Okay, we expect it. Okay. With so many years in death metal scene, what keeps your guys together, and what is the secret on long term of success?
Yeah, it's of course the passion is one of the first things we all have for the same kind of music. Without a passion, what we do is impossible. It's
yes, of course.
No, I'm still not a millionaire. I still don't have my Ferrari.
Yes.
No, it's a passion. It's a way of life, and besides that, I think, because of course, like many other bands, ASPHYX had some changes in the lineups, of course, but this lineup we have now, we have it since 2014, so we played 10 years with the same members, and besides our passion for the music, it's like it feels like a brotherhood, like
yeah, of course.
We are not just musicians; we also are
like a family.
Friends. Yes, it almost feels like family sometimes, because I do more with the band than with my family.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think that's great power from ASPHYX also live. We play with a lot of joy, and we're having fun, and we're bringing the Death Hammer everywhere with this family. That's
your themes in your lyrics, it's like a brutal or something, special and horror and something. Your guys, like in your lives, it's like that or something else? It's normal guys.
What you mean with the lyrics then?
The themes of the lyrics.
It's
it's a brutal. It's
But they are wide. Martin is writing the lyrics, of course. Paul is writing most of the music. I write some music, but mostly Paul has some much ideas in his head. Like the arrangements we do together. When Paul is riffed, we go to a rehearsal room, and then we play a bit. We put the pieces on place, and Martin creates then his lyrics already, and he says, "Okay, I need that part 4 times. I want to sing on that part 8 times." But Martin reads a lot of books. I know that, and from a lot of teams. So we have, we have lyrics like Botox implosion. It's about women who just go too far with their cosmetic surgeries, and at the end they explode. You know, the previous album we had a song was called "The Feeder." That's about you know, the tiny guys who are really feeding women till they till they explode. So there's always a bit of fun themes in every album.
Yeah.
But also really realistic stuff, you know, like some war teams we had, like the Lancer. Also, you know, Scorbutics. It's, you know, the disease the people had when they were sailing in the past. So it's we have a wide stuff of some fun things, but also some serious things.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like last album, Martin dedicated a song. It's called "The Nameless Elite." You know, that's about all the special forces like SAS and all the commandos. So it's yeah, I must say, he's doing that really good. You know, finding the teams, and every album has as well the fun teams, as the brutal themes, as the serious themes. It's pretty diverse.
Yes. Has everyday life come to be more shocking than the themes of death metal of the death metal themes?
You think they are more shocking?
The real life, it's more shocking than the death metal themes in lyrics.
Oh yes, of course. If you look around, it's sometimes I put on the television. It's only shit. It's
brutal. Yes.
Yes, death metal. You know, you can sing as brutal as you want, but you know, still it's fiction. Most of our guys and you know, in the metal scene, we are not that bad as what we sing about.
Yes, of course. Do you think the death metal scene can still offer something new, or has genre reached its limits?
Yeah, sometimes I do think it has reached its limits, but now and then I still discover a band which surprises me. So, but it's not easy, and I must also say that you know, when I was younger, I somehow knew everything what was going on releases. You know, but today with all bands and all releases, it has become a maze with all different releases, and to be honest, most of them I think they are not good enough. I know people try to do their best, and but it's not easy because metal has been there. It started early 80s, you know, the heavy metal, you know, and then the hard rock heavy metal, the thrash came. So it's not easy anymore to be original or to come with something new, you know, because so much stuff has been done already. Yeah. But still, even now, I find releases that I think, okay, this is something special. So it is possible, but it's hard. And besides that, I'm just giving my opinion now, you know. My taste of music. Of course, there are other people's. If there's a band I don't like, many other people might like it a lot. So it's
yes.
Sorry, but you know, yeah, it's not easy after 4 decades of metal and all bands.
Of course.
So maybe it's satisfied, maybe not. It's still fun to find bands who surprise me.
Yes, I think we hear everything, but maybe some bands has a new, you know, some.
Absolutely.
How do you imagine the future of death metal, and what is the ASPHYX place in it?
Yeah, that's a hard question. You know, even I started making music, of course, not in ASPHYX, but I started making death metal since I was 17 or 18 years old, and back then I never thought about, hey, how long would this music genre be here, and how long would I play? And look now, I mean, ASPHYX started in 1987, you know, with Bob Backus.
So many years.
Yeah, with the real old lineup. So it's, and of course, they never expected to see the name around almost 35 years later. 40 years almost.
Yes, yes, it's coming.
So it's yeah. At this moment, I don't expect anything. I think neither of us do. You know, we just do this because we like it, and as long as we like it, we will try to keep doing this. The fact is, of course, we're all getting older, and you never know what's happening with health and stuff. But if you leave that aside, we all have so much fun to do this, even today. That yeah, we we try to do this as long as possible, and I also hope that the metal genre in general will be there forever, because it's a beautiful music and a beautiful scenery. So let's see how long we we manage this.
Yes, I know. Let's back in live Mammoth Fest. What Greeks can expect from ASPHYX at Mammoth Fest?
Yeah, I'm not sure what our playing time is. Of course, you know, the people who know
As headliners, eh? As headliners, yes. Your first,
yes.
The first name.
Yeah, but you know, the people who know ASPHYX Live, they know very good what they expect, because we haven't changed since the last shows. Yeah, it will be yeah, ASPHYX, how ASPHYX is live. You know, we run around, we bang, we have fun, and of course, if you look at the set list, like I said before, yeah, we always play some newer songs because, yeah, you know, we want to promote the Necrosaurus album as well. But there will also be a song from Death Hammer, but also the old stuff, the Wreck, the Last One on Earth. You will hear some songs. But of course, that time is because, yeah, normally in club shows we have a bit more time, so we cannot play a bit more. But it will be a diverse set list. So the old school guys will have fun, but also the guys who love the newer stuff more. Maybe mostly those are the younger generation who pick up the newer material.
Of course.
They will have their part too. So it will be a diverse show in music, and ASPHYX the way it is. It's the brutal way.
Yeah. What gives you strength in concerts? Is it energy of audience, or something else that motivation your stage?
And I didn't understand that question quite. Can you repeat?
Yes, of course. What gives you strength at concerts? It's the energy of the audience, or it's something else that motivates your stage?
Of course, first of all, you know, we love to play death metal, you know, and we love to play the ASPHYX songs. But what you just said, you know, if there is a certain energy from their audience, and we also have a good sound, because that's also, if you don't have a good sound, you have doubts if it's good. But if the sound is good and the audience gives you that response, then we get so much more energy, and the show will be more intense to look at. You know, more will happening, and it's a circle you have to close.
Yes,
so you're right there. It's a combination of good sound, a good set list, and interaction with the audience and back. You know, they get this energy and they get more back. And I noticed many times, if we give more energy back, they will give even more back to us, and that's
yes, that's the point. Yes. What are the biggest challenges you face when you are on tour? Do you remember some?
To be honest, we are kind of a chaotic band in organization, but still, at the end, if we look back, everything went smooth somehow. So we don't have much chaos. You know, we had sometimes we almost missed a flight, which gives some stress. But show-wise and tour-wise, you know, we don't do long tours. We only do those weekend shows, and of course, a lot of things happen, but it's not chaos of big mentioning things. It's somehow it runs smooth, even though we are chaos.
That's Do you have experience from Greek fans? Do you compare with other fans in Europe or rest of the world?
There is a difference for sure. Somehow, you already notice it when we play Central or North Europe with Southern Europe. They are a bit more passionate, but especially when we play like Latin America or South America, and you also have seen it when you watch the South American football. You know, they I won't say they like it more, but they show it more passionate. It's and that's something we don't see in the like if we play in the Netherlands or in Germany. It's different. I can't just for Asia how it is there, but I do know like the South American fans they are crazy. But even when we play here it was last week. Yeah, last week we played London, and they went crazy too. But it's but in a different way. It's hard to explain, but I think that's where the roots from the people are.
Yeah. You tell me about the bands of death metal before. Do you have some Greek bands as you know?
Some great bands of Greek.
Greek bands.
Yeah, of course we know like Suicidal Angels are good friends of ours.
You play together, yes.
Yeah, many times, and I love their music. It reminds me always of that bit that old Sepultura combined with some old Slayer. Very good musicians, but also very friendly guys. Not that long ago, we had to spend some time with Rotting Christ because we were in the same hotel and never really met them before, but also really nice guys.
Yes, of course.
Yes. We had some long talks because we had to kill time, and that was fun. Not so long ago, we played, I think, in Bulgaria, but there was the Greek band ASPHYX.
Yes, ASPHYX.
So yeah, we like them a lot too. And what do we have more? Sometimes it's blurry.
Okay, I know. It's yes.
You meet a lot, but I do think Greece brought some good death metal into the world on high level and also in the underground.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are many Greece bands we still don't know who are really good.
Yes. It's a personal question. It's you have many bands. You have a lot of on death metal. What's next for you personally?
Yeah, I also have. I don't know if you know it. My band called Berserker Legion, of course, and we released an album in it was I think October or November. So we are we're kind of preparing to promote that as well. To do some live shows. It's with the guitar player from Hypocrisy, Thomas, and some other guys. But mostly, I think the next thing we have to do is working with ASPHYX on new material and get an album. Within 2 years from now. We do have some USA dates for next year. We will play the Maryland Death Fest. We will play some more shows than on the East Coast, and I think later in the year we also go back to the USA, to Los Angeles, to do a Death Fest and some more shows. So we have the live shows, of course, with ASPHYX. I want to work a bit on my promote my our Berserker Legion album. That's about it, I guess, music wise.
A lot of stuff.
And I will do some household in between.
Yeah. That's I would also like to thank you, Elena Kostadakis, for this, for who mediated this communication.
Yes.
And,
Elena is her name, right?
Yeah, Elena, yes.
Thank you, Elena.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Do you have something to say for Greek fans for close this interview?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you on behalf of ASPHYX, of course, that we had some time to promote the Mammoth Fest in Greece, and of course also to tell a bit about where we are now. You know what we done recently, and that that a new album will come, of course, one day. Yeah, and of course, you know, because we have been to Greece now several times, and we can't thank the fans enough that, you know, that because the reason we are still exist is that, you know, the fans keep supporting us in every way. You know, that's without fans we are nothing, and that's something we are really good aware of, and very thankful for the fans all over the world, and in this matter the Greece fans. And yeah, we hope to see as much as possible at the Mammoth Fest, and I hope they will all have a good time, and that we have a good time and some good
Thank
food.
you so much. Yes. Thank you so much, Alwin. Alwin, thank you so much for this interview.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great concert.
Thank you too.
And see you in October 12th.
Stay brutal, and you will be death hammered soon. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Alwin. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.